Okay, so I am going to do my first video response with the Chapter 1 Critical Thinking questions, and I will read the question and then give my response. Alright, so the first question says, consider three of the major forces in psychology: behaviorism, psychoanalysis, and humanistic psychology. Which appeals to you most and which least, and why? Alright, so personally, I think psychoanalysis appeals to me despite its flaws. It's based on the concept that individuals are unaware of the many factors that cause their behavior and emotions. The unconscious factors that have an effect on overall mental health can be used to understand functioning, and this just really interests me. Freud's ideas just seem to be really interesting. But while the value and validity of psychoanalysis as a theory have been questioned since its beginnings, I still believe that its ideas on personality and unconsciousness should not be overlooked. In fact, I look forward to learning more about this force in psychology throughout this course. That being said, I don't think it's right for me to discredit either behaviorism or humanistic psychology, because I believe they both have played an important role in the growth of this field. However, behaviorism does interest me the least, mainly because emphasizing the key role of the environment as a determinant of behavior just seems to be limiting. And furthermore, operant conditioning seems to discount the internal desires that drive people to make choices. But overall, like the textbooks suggest, I think taking a holistic approach to psychology allows for the most understanding in this field. Okay, so on to the next question. Suppose you hear in the news that a researcher claims to have proven that daycare is harmful to infants. How could you use what you've learned in this chapter about research methods to evaluate this statement? Using the critical thinking skills that were outlined in this chapter, first, I would analyze the methods of this research. What type of study was performed? Was it natural observation, laboratory study, which I think is probably unlikely given the situation, case study, perhaps a survey? In my opinion, I think a naturalistic seems to be a good approach for this situation, but in any case, it's important to verify that this research is representative of the entire population. In other words, that it's a random sample that doesn't have any selection bias. Also, what is the correlation between sending an infant to daycare and there being a negative impact on the child? Is it strong enough to suggest significance? And on another note, there's always limitations to experimental method, which we learned in this chapter. And with such a strong statement that daycare is proven to be harmful for infants, it's smart to make distinctions between facts and opinions as a critical thinker. The statement needs to prove to be objective in its findings, and daycares, just like anything else that is scientifically studied, vary between their structure and its care that it provides. So the confounding variables could prevent from concluding that all daycares are proven to be bad for infants. And finally, there must not be an experimental bias. So I believe that multiple studies can help confirm this statement. Okay, so the last question. If I were to become a psychologist, in which area would I specialize and why? If I became a psychologist, I believe that I would consider specializing in developmental psychology, because I'm interested in the growth and changes that people go through, and well, mainly also because I am going to be getting a certificate in gerontology, which is the study of aging. And even though it does specifically focus on aging, it also, I have to take a lot of courses with developmental aspects throughout the lifespan, and I just find that really interesting. Simply put, life changes are endless and fascinating, and studying them would be really cool for me. So anyway, that concludes my first video response, and I will be posting a second one soon. Thanks.